Welcome to My Morning Cup, a podcast produced by Costa Media Advisors and brought to you by the generous support of the Tennessee Valley Authority. To learn more about TVA's impact on our community, follow TVA on Instagram at TVA and on Twitter X at TVA News. My Morning Cup, where we have interesting conversations with genuine people. I'm Mike Costa, your host. My guest this week is April Cameron. April is the president and CEO of the Chattanooga Metropolitan Airport Authority. April, before I give you a list of cities I'd like to have a direct flight to, let me ask, what's in your morning cup?
So, Mike, I'm going to be the anomaly for this show. I usually have water in my morning cup.
Now, you're just saying that because I gave you a cup of lukewarm water.
It's funny. I started drinking coffee as a 5-year-old.
As a 5-year-old?
Yes. I spent a lot of time with my great-grandparents, and so we drank coffee every morning.
I love it.
And so by the time I was a teenager, I was done with coffee.
Really?
So I will occasionally have a latte, but typically I just have water.
That's a good way to start. You know, I have started my mornings. I get up in the morning and I drink a big cup of water.
Yes.
And then I'll have some coffee. But a 5-year-old drinking coffee, did it get doctored up enough for you to tolerate it?
It did.
Nothing like great-grandparents
exactly.
to spoil you. Well, I'm so glad you're here, and I'm really glad I've gotten to know you over the last couple of years and have wanted to get you on My Morning Cup because you've got a unique story. I know you say, oh, it's so boring. But you really have a unique story, and that's what I want to talk about. So let's start at the beginning. You were born and raised in Spring City?
Yes. Born and raised in Spring City, small little town north of Chattanooga. Lived there with my mom and dad and sister. We were working class family. Mm-hmm. I spent a lot of time, as I mentioned, with my great-grandparents, right. Where we had coffee every morning before school.
What was the connection there? And obviously, family connection, but did you all live close by? Or
we did live close by, but my parents both worked. Yeah. And so on their way to work in the mornings, they would drop us off at our great-grandparents' house. We would have homemade breakfast every single morning. Oh, homemade biscuits and gravy from scratch every single morning. And, of course, at that time, I didn't want that.
Right.
I wanted cereal.
Yeah. Why can't I have cereal like
exactly.
everyone else?
And so, and then we would have breakfast with them every morning and then walk to school from there.
Is your sister older or younger?
She's older, 15 months. So we're very close in age.
I bet you
and
are.
very close.
Yeah. Does she still live in the area?
She does.
So you're having this idyllic country breakfast every morning.
Yes.
Were your great-grandparents farmers or rural? Or?
They really weren't. No? Of course, they were retired at that point. They lived in the middle of town, only a block from our school. And so they were just home all day. And so when we didn't have school, we were with them.
So talk about what you and your sister would do for fun growing up in Spring City and kind of get into the high school years too.
Yeah, so not a lot to do in a small town. We had a very simple life. We spent a lot of time with, like I said, my great-grandparents and my great-aunts and uncles. They all lived in the community. And so, like I said, my grandparents lived in the middle of town, so we would walk to the park to play. And so we just spent a lot of time outside.
Yeah. Was the lake a big factor?
Oh, of course. Yes, the lake was right down the street. And so, we spent a lot of time and just a simple life.
Yeah. And what did your parents do for a living?
So my dad worked in different fields. He was in insurance and he was in just a variety of different jobs. He wasn't quite as present as I probably would have liked for him to be. Mm-hmm. My mom worked at TVA at Watts Bar Nuclear Plant.
Oh, our sponsor.
Yes. So she worked there for many years, and then she ended up her career at Sequoia Nuclear Plant. And so they worked and left early in the morning, and so that left us.
Just a good, hard-working, blue-collar family and
absolutely.
Enjoying life in a small country town.
Yes.
What I found interesting is something you told me. You started playing piano at the age of 12 in church. So were you getting piano lessons this whole time?
Yes. So I started taking piano lessons when I was probably 6 or 7. And I took piano lessons from a German lady. And so she was very intense and very strict, but had a heart of gold. She had survived the Holocaust.
Oh, wow.
And so I don't know exactly how she ended up in Spring City, Tennessee, but she was just an incredible influence in my life, just hardworking, but very diligent. And so she taught me a lot about, working hard and practice makes perfect. And so, yes, learned a lot about classical piano from her.
How many years did you take lessons from her?
So I took lessons from her until I was probably 17.
Wow, that's a long time.
It is.
And when did you start?
So probably when I was 6 or 7. So it was a very long time.
Wow. And
Yes.
can I ask her name?
Her name was Sonia Rummel.
Sonia Rummel. Wow. I bet there's a few of her former students running around out
Yes.
there.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
And what did those lessons teach you? Well, let me back up. Were you taking piano lessons because whether it was your parents or great-grandparents said, boy, it'd be really good to get April out of the house and get her in piano lessons? Or did you have this love of piano and music that you just wanted to learn?
Well, my grandparents wanted me to learn. And so they wanted me to play in church. So that's what I did it for. But I did enjoy it. I haven't played in many, many years.
I was going to ask you, are you still playing?
No, I haven't played in many, many years. I actually played in church from the age of 12 to the age of 25.
That's pretty incredible. That's got to be intimidating as a 12-year-old, or are you just so thrilled to be doing it you really don't notice anything?
Well, what was interesting was I went to a church in town, and another church in town, a Presbyterian church, reached out to my piano teacher, and she said, do you have any students that you think would be interested in playing for us? We don't have anyone. And so she asked me if I would be interested, and so I made $25 a week playing the piano for one service.
At 12 years old?
Yes. And so
You're rich.
I felt like I was.
Yeah.
So I played at the Presbyterian church in town. And so
You played for the other team?
and from the other team, yes. And so I played there for probably 2 years. And then my home church asked me to come back. And so I did.
That's pretty wild.
So it was very intimidating in the beginning, just being 12 years old and a very established church in town. And but it was great.
But you must have been pretty good because an established church in town, every organization's got its prideful members, and
Yes.
and they're expecting the piano to be a certain way. And you're 12 years old. They
Yes.
don't look and go, "Oh, that's okay. She's only 12."
That's true, but they were very kind. I don't know if I was that great, but they were very kind.
And you did that till you were 25.
Yes.
So talk a little bit about high school, and what I'm curious is, extracurricular activities in addition to playing piano, and any of those early jobs.
So I was not really involved in sports. I was very focused on academics because I wanted to leave Spring City. I wanted to go to a big city and live, and I wanted to work in finance in some way. I loved money growing up. I didn't really love to play anything except, I'd have my own store and my cash register
Really?
and my play money, and I'd love to play Monopoly and anything that had to do with money. That's what I wanted to play. And so that's how I was growing up. And
So you would pretend you had the general store?
yes, I would
whatever?
pretend that I had my own store, and I would, set up stock, and I would have, paperwork. And I know that sounds so strange,
No,
but
Wait, was your sister involved at all?
not nearly as much as I was. Yes.
So who were the customers when you would set up the store?
Well, my grandfather. Yes. Yes. So we had a very, very close relationship. And so, yes, he was my customer.
Wow, that's very cool. So you mentioned, growing up, as a kid in a small town, I just want to get out of here.
Yes.
What was driving that? Just to see the world, or to?
Yes, I just wanted more.
Mm-hmm.
I just wanted more. And like I said, I had a great life. I had a great family, but I just wanted more.
Mm-hmm.
And so I knew that I had to work hard to make that happen. And so I was really focused on academics. And so I I studied in school, in high school. I took all of the college classes that I could take through Chattanooga State. And so I actually graduated high school with, I was in my second semester of my sophomore year. And so
you graduated high school, you were in your second semester of your sophomore year of college.
Yes.
Wow. See, my second semester of my sophomore year of college, I was a freshman. That's the difference.
Exactly. But I knew that I knew that I would have to work when I got to college.
Yeah.
And so I knew that I needed to get ahead. And so I worked to do that. And so when I was in high school, I worked a job. I worked at a local pharmacy because I needed to start saving money for college.
Was being a pharmacist of any interest to you, or was it the store aspect that had more of an attraction for you?
Well, it was just a job opportunity.
Okay.
In a small town, there wasn't a lot of job opportunities, and it kind of kept me out of fast food. So I loved working at the pharmacy. It was a great little family-owned business, and they were very good to me.
Oh, particularly in a small town,
Yes.
where the pharmacist knows more people than the doctor, and is probably liked
Absolutely.
more than the doctor, too.
Yes. And so I knew a lot of people in town that would come in. So I really enjoyed that and did that all through high school. And then graduated high school. And the Monday after I graduated high school, I went to work for Bechtel Corporation out at Sequoia Nuclear Plant.
So you graduated high school and went to work in a nuclear plant?
Yeah, I did.
How's that happen?
It was, as I said, my mom worked there. And so she worked for TVA, but there were lots of different companies that contracted there. And so I was able to apply for a job with Bechtel, and I started work on a Monday morning. It was the first day of an outage. And so there were lots of new people there to work the outage. And I walked into the electrical maintenance shop, and there were about 100 electricians standing in the room. And then here I come in, a 17-year-old kid, and my job was to just be a clerk. And so it was a little overwhelming.
I bet.
But they kind of took me in and set me on my path, and it was a great experience.
How long were you there?
So I was there for about probably a couple of years, probably till I was 19.
What did you take away from that?
I learned a lot about people.
Yeah.
That was a very eye-opening experience for me.
From what standpoint?
Well, just I'd come from a small town, and then you come to Sequoia Nuclear Plant, and there's lots of different people and lots of different backgrounds.
Probably from all over the world.
all
too.
over the country for sure. And so it was just a great opportunity to learn how to interact with people who had a different upbringing from me.
Yeah.
And so I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it.
And you were there till 19.
Yes.
So where you decide to go to college, because you're going to school after,
Yes.
while you're working.
Yes. Yes. So I worked Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays, and I went to school on Tuesdays and Thursdays.
When did you have time for fun?
I didn't have a ton of fun because I was very focused.
You were focused, yeah.
I was very focused.
Wait, was that driven by you or your parents or a combination?
I mean, it was self-imposed.
Was it?
Definitely.
Was your sister the same way?
She is very driven, but in different ways.
Yeah.
In different ways. So, like I said, I wanted to have a good job, and I just wanted certain things out of my life, and I knew that to get there, I had to do certain things. And so that's what I did. I worked Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, and went to school on Tuesdays and Thursdays from like early in the morning. I had some semesters where my schedule, I'd go to class from 8 in the morning until 8 at night. So, and then I'd have maybe a few hours break in the middle of the day where I could work on homework and things like that. So,
And this is a compliment, but you must have had a drive that not every kid your age had to be able to kind of connect those dots of, okay, academics will take me from that, so I need to work really hard at this.
yes. Well, and I think it begins where you come from. And, if you have more, you don't have to work as hard.
Yeah.
And so, I learned from my mother and my grandparents that you had to work really hard to get where you wanted to be.
Yeah. So you're doing the Sequoia thing you did at Chat State. What gets you to UTC and what do you study?
So when I finished Chattanooga State, I went on to UTC to study accounting. So I, at that point in time, I had left Sequoia and I was working at a local bank in Dayton. And so I was doing that, finishing college, and that at UTC, studying accounting, is where I met my mentor, Debbie.
Well, let me back up a second. Why did you choose accounting? You did the as a kid growing up, pretend you had the store.
Yes.
You're a bank teller. Was accounting a passion, or was it more of this is a great career that I can work hard and do well with?
I think it went both ways.
Yeah.
I think that's a passion for me. Making money and finding out how to manage it is something that is a passion for me.
How it can go to work for you?
Yes, absolutely. And so I thought accounting would be a great way to involve that passion and also earn a living.
Yeah. And so you're at UTC, you're majoring in accounting. You mentioned you met your mentor.
Yes. So a very special lady, Debbie Gregory, she was in class with me at UTC in night classes. And she worked at the airport in the accounting department, and she approached me one day, and we had some study groups, so I knew her. And she asked me if I was interested in coming to work at the airport. And I said, oh, well, I've never thought about that. What do you do? And so she said, well, I do accounting. And I said, well, that sounds like fun. She said, well, why don't you come interview and we'll talk about it. So I did that, and she hired me. And I thought, well, this will be a fun job, get some experience in accounting.
Another stop along the way?
Exactly. And ultimately, I thought, I'm going to go to work for TVA. I want to go to work for TVA in accounting, and that's what I want to do. So I'd planned to be at the airport for a couple of years and then move on. Mm-hmm. So 28 years later, I'm still at the airport.
So what was Debbie Gregory's job at the airport that she brought you in?
She was the accounting manager, and then she was promoted to the VP of Finance. Mm-hmm. And so that was her role.
Talk about showing up as a college kid. You got and this is before you had your accounting degree.
Yes.
You went to work at the airport.
Yes.
What was that like? You're going into a strange world. You've already walked into a nuclear plant where all the electrical engineers are gathered there. Now you walk into an airport.
Yes.
Which probably not a real familiar background either.
Absolutely. I remember coming in for my interview, and she said, just come to the terminal building. And I was like, I don't know what the terminal is. I'd never flown.
Right.
I'd never flown, so I had no idea. And so everything was new at the airport. But once again, I had great people that took me in and showed me, the way that I needed to go and things I needed to learn. And it was intimidating as you would expect, but I learned a lot from the individuals that I worked with.
What year was this that you started there?
1997.
1997.
Yes.
Wow. So you go, she's your mentor, showing you the way. Go through, what's next in terms of how you progress.
So she was wonderful and absolutely involved me in everything that she did, which was great. And so through that process, I learned everything that she did. And in 2003, she came to me and she said, I am getting remarried and I'm going to be moving. And I was like, well, what does that mean?
Yeah. What about me?
What about me? What about me? And so she said, I really think that you could take this job. So at that point,
it's a nice vote of confidence.
It was. I was 24. I was, 22, 23 years old at that
you're
point.
A child.
I was. And she said, I think you can handle this. So our president at the time, I was in my second president at that point at the airport. And he came in and he said, well, do you want Debbie's job? And I said, I think I can do it. So he promoted me into that role. And from that point forward, I was the VP of Finance.
How important was having a mentor like Debbie?
Oh, it was life-changing.
Yeah.
It was absolutely life-changing. To have someone that was willing to share knowledge. You can sometimes get in situations where people are very protective of the information that they have because they are protective of their positions.
They don't want you to know everything.
Exactly. They don't want you to know. And she was not like that at all. She was very open. She shared everything with me. And so that allowed me to be able to step into that role. And although there were lots of things that I still had to learn, it gave me the tools that I needed to be able to be successful.
What would be your recommendation to someone starting their career and doesn't have a mentor or is looking for a mentor? What kind of steps should they take to find, because you just can't go up to someone and say, hey, will you be my mentor?
You can't, but you can read people pretty easily and you can see who around you is willing to help and who is willing to share information. And there's so many groups out there now that you can be involved in and be able to network. And so I think that's a great opportunity for young people to just find someone that is willing to be open with them. They don't even have to be in the same field, but someone that's willing to share the insights that they have learned in their career, because it kind of spans all different businesses.
Mm-hmm. And having that, lack of better term, sage advice.
Yes.
Someone who's been through the battles.
Absolutely.
Very, very important. And I think that's not enough people pursue that. Actually, on both ends, not enough people pursue looking for a mentor. And then, people of my generation, there's not enough that give their time to someone willingly like that.
That is so true. That is so true.
That's what helps us move forward.
Right.
I do want to go back a little bit because of the timeline. Can you talk a little bit about the airport and 9/11?
Yes. A day that I will never forget. I remember coming into work that morning and I was sitting in my office and someone came down the hallway and said, hey, I think we need to see what's going on. There's something going on. We need to turn the TV on. So all of us in the office went to the boardroom and, we turned the TV on and we actually watched the second plane hit the tower from our boardroom. And the day that happened, our president at the time and my boss were both at an airport conference. There was a huge airport conference going on in Canada.
So that would be most of the airport officials in the country, wouldn't it?
Yes.
Are all at a conference in
Canada? Yes.
On 9/11?
Yes.
I never knew that.
Yes. And so our VP of operations at the time, Mike Langeth, who ultimately became the airport president.
Yep.
So Mike was in charge, and then the rest of the team was in the boardroom. And so we're all sitting around. We don't know what's going on. We don't know what to expect. We got a notice from the tower that they were grounding all airplanes, and so any airplanes that were in our vicinity would be landing. And so essentially nothing was happening at the airport once all the planes landed that were going to land. So we ultimately shut down everybody that wasn't an essential employee went home that day.
Do you remember how many planes and where they were headed to that had to land in Chattanooga?
I do not remember that.
Yeah.
I don't.
And what do you do with those passengers?
Well, honestly, I don't even remember that. I am sure that the airlines at that point found them hotels to go to.
Wow.
Because everything was just closed at that point.
You couldn't go anywhere.
You couldn't.
Not in the air, and you probably couldn't find a car.
Exactly. I know our president at the time and my boss, Debbie, who was our VP of Finance, I think they ended up taking a train.
Did they really?
Back from Canada. So it was kind of a, it was something that you cannot explain. And then the days following, coming back into the airport. So prior to 9/11, the security checkpoint was operated by contract companies. And so immediately overnight, that changed to National Guard. And so you come back into the airport the following day, and there are people with the National Guard that are working security checkpoint.
With fatigues on.
Yes. So we walked in that morning thinking, wow, what is the rest of our days going to be like? Are they always going to be like this? There was just so much uncertainty. So it was a challenging time. And of course, being in finance, there was a lot of things that we had to work through.
Well, you guys weren't making money if planes aren't landing,
absolutely.
right?
And the airport wasn't in the strongest financial condition at that point in time. Back in 2001, that it was not prepared. We had not prepared ourselves for that kind of situation. And so we made the decision after that we were not going to get ourselves in that kind of situation again from a financial standpoint.
Well, and that was kind of not lead up question. That was kind of the follow up question of how have things changed since that day? Because you're still seeing it evolve.
Absolutely.
I mean, it seems like every year we have a different rule change. Okay, take your shoes up. No, you can leave your shoes on.
Absolutely. So, of course, from that came the TSA. They were developed as a part of that. And so that's something that has been continuous since 2001. The other things, of course, before that, you could go back and greet people coming off of their airplanes. That can no longer happen. You have to be a ticketed passenger to get past security. So many things. Airport security has changed immensely since 2001. And so lots of different things have happened that are still in effect. It was a day that changed our industry forever.
Yeah. That obviously huge effect on the airport. That was 2001. You were promoted, you said 2004?
Yes.
I think it was. So talk a little bit about you get the CFO position.
Yes.
And what that's like, because I'm trying to imagine you being a young kid in Spring City, Tennessee going, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to be the CFO of the airport.
Yes. And many days after that happened, I still thought that. What am I doing here?
Right.
But I had grown such a love for the airport. I just wanted to do whatever I could do to make it successful. And so obviously every business, finances are important, money is required. And so I knew that I could really make an impact. And so I was going to do everything that I could do. I made lots of connections with other airport finance people, leaders with airports. Shortly after I came into the CFO role, our president position changed. So we went from Mark Van Loo to Mike Langeth. And so Mike was new in the president's seat, and I was new in the VP role. So
you're going through it together.
So we're going through it together.
Helpful.
And Mike, I learned so much from Mike Langeth. I learned things that I probably wouldn't do the same way.
Yeah.
But I still learned so much from him. He was such a visionary. And so I learned very quickly that I couldn't get focused on the day-to-day. I had to be constantly looking at the future.
Yeah, because you were the CFO. You weren't an accountant.
Exactly. I'm no longer an accountant. I am the CFO. So my job is to look and see, how do I prepare this organization for 20 years down the line? What do I want it to be like? And so working with Mike, we were able to implement a lot of those things and a lot of changes that have brought us so much further than we were at that point in time. So it was overwhelming, but it was a challenge, and I like a challenge. I like to be able to figure things out.
Well, and what you said about 9/11 of we weren't prepared, I'm sure that as you're in the CFO position now, you're going, we're never not going to be prepared again.
Absolutely. That is a conversation that we had so many times. And as we were working out of that, we experienced the recession of 2008.
That was fun.
Which was also difficult. You know, we had airlines pulling out. We had airlines filing bankruptcy. So we had put ourselves in a situation that we were going to be able to survive even when those tough times happened, because the aviation industry is very cyclical. I mean, there are good times and there are bad times. So you had 2001, you had 2008, you had 2020. Those are things that I think in the CFO role, we had to make sure that we were preparing for.
And how do you do that? How do you prepare an airport for the downtimes?
Well, you know that when people aren't coming in the building, we are not making money.
Well, and just go off on that a little bit, how an airport makes money. How does the Chattanooga Metropolitan Airport make money?
So the airport is completely self-sufficient. So we make every penny that we use. So top revenue source for us is our FBO. So we own our fixed-based operators. We provide fueling for the airlines and general aviation facilities. So that's our number one source of revenue.
But you don't make money off of tickets?
No.
Yeah.
Absolutely not. So parking is our number two source of revenue. The parking lot we own. The airlines, it's very interesting. A lot of people don't know that the airport is like a shopping mall. It's very similar to how CBL operates, and they lease space to Belk and Dillard's. The airport owns the runways and the taxiways and the buildings, and we lease space to Delta and American. So all of the people that you encounter with those airlines are employees of that entity. We don't make money off tickets. The airlines pay us a landing fee. So every time their airplane lands at the airport, we get charged them a landing fee.
Is that a flat fee for every?
It is.
Every airline, or do they negotiate a fee?
It's a flat fee based on the size of the airplane.
Gotcha.
So it's a per pound. So if their airplane is 43,000 pounds, they pay, the rate times the 43,000 pounds. So they pay a flat fee. They also pay to rent space in the terminal building. They pay for security. They a prorated fee for our security staff, because the airport itself, we have a maintenance department, a fire department, police department, operations, and admin. So the airport itself is its own little city.
Yeah.
It's a small city.
And you're the mayor.
Well, I guess I'm the mayor.
Yeah. One thing I do want to point out, because you told me this before, and I don't think enough people realize this, and the way you described how an airport makes money was perfect. When I land and I get off the plane and it takes my bags 45 minutes, that's the airline, right?
It is the airline.
That's not the Chattanooga airport.
Yes, and unfortunately, it's something that people think is an airport problem. But it's an airline issue. And a lot of people also don't realize that when you fly into Chattanooga, you can make it from your gate to baggage claim in 2 minutes. And when you are in a large market like Atlanta or Charlotte, and you get off your airplane, it takes 15 minutes to walk to baggage claim. And so you think that it is just a much faster process. It just takes you longer to get there.
Yeah, that's a great point.
And so people don't realize that it takes the same amount of time to get the bags off, but when you're in a larger airport, you have a longer walk to baggage claim. So it seems like they're much more efficient, and it's not always the case.
Yeah, and that's such a great point, because you don't think about it. You get off the plane, all the advantages you have to Chattanooga Airport of short security lines, easier to get on, but when you land, boom, I'm in baggage claim.
Absolutely.
And they still need people to unload the plane.
That's right.
And to bring all that stuff over there. I want to talk a little bit about the airport as economic development.
Yes.
Because our airport, I've been here 25 years, our airport has made tremendous changes over those 25 years, and particularly with an eye towards what's good for economic development.
Absolutely. When companies are looking to relocate to Chattanooga, one of the top questions they ask is, what kind of air service do you have? So it's important for us as the airport to be that economic development tool for our community. It's important for us to understand exactly what businesses need so that we can go out and target those specific routes. So, you'll have people that'll get on our website and say, when are we going to get a direct flight to Des Moines? Well, not everyone wants to go to Des Moines. And so it's important for us to understand for our businesses to be successful and for new businesses to want to come to Chattanooga, what do we need to be offering? And so those are some of the key ways that we determine what our future routes need to be. And then we have to go and try to sell that story to the airlines because they ultimately make the decision. You know, I had an elected official ask me one time, he said, who's around the table when the airlines decide to come to Chattanooga? And I said, the airlines. They make a decision in their corporate headquarters and they call me and say, we're going to start operating. Now, my role is to go and tell them everything amazing that is happening in our community, which is a great story to tell because we have a lot of amazing things to tell. But that's my job, is to communicate the things that they don't already know so that they can make the decision to come here. But we are that economic development tool, and what we do makes a difference in our community.
Well, and related to economic development, but not necessarily the terminal, the recruitment of someone like Westar.
Yes.
I mean, that's a big, they employ a lot of people, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. So Westar, that was a unique, we had a tenant on the airport that reached out to my previous president, Terry Hart, and he told Terry, he said, there's a company that does maintenance, repair, and overhaul of large corporate airplanes, and they are interested in Chattanooga. And there's a hangar available in Chattanooga. I think it's a great combination. So we reached out to Westar, ended up talking to them for many, many months, took a trip to their headquarters in East Alton, Illinois, and were able to successfully recruit them to Chattanooga. And so they started operating here with one hangar, and they were looking for an East Coast presence. And Chattanooga is a great common point between the Northeast and Florida, which has a lot of personal aircraft. So we were able to recruit them here. They started operating in 2015, probably employing maybe 100 people. And they currently are in 9 hangars, and they employ about 450 people, and they're going to be constructing another hangar in the next year. And so when that finishes, they are going to employ over 600 people on the airport.
And they've got corporate and private jets flying in here. So we've had some interesting jets in here, haven't we?
Yes, we have. So you'll see lots of high-end corporate airplanes. You'll see professional football teams' aircraft here, or
Really?
You'll see lots of celebrities bring their aircraft to Chattanooga. And so it's really interesting that we are able to have that caliber of aircraft and that caliber of influential people that are coming into Chattanooga. Now, the celebrities don't always come to Chattanooga directly. Their pilots may bring it, but we do have, on occasion, we'll have a celebrity come in to Chattanooga to look and see that, okay, I want this particular paint, or because Westar does everything. They paint the exterior, they rehab the entire interior. It's a really cool operation to have here in Chattanooga that people just don't even know about.
So they're kind of like the old customize your van
Yes,
company.
Absolutely. So they do, they'll do the annual checkup and, maintenance work, but they also do all of the things that make the airplanes pretty.
Going back to the economic development issue, and when you moved into the CFO role,
Yes.
That was 2004,
Yes.
I think you said. So at that point, the parking garage wasn't built.
No.
Kind of go through that process of looking at the airport and what we need to do to keep it current and attract people.
So lots of different things happened. So as one of the decisions that we made when we were trying to determine how to make the airport financially stable, we started looking at our FBO. So our FBO was contracted out to a third party at that point in time.
And describe what an FBO does.
So the FBO is a fixed base operator, and that's where corporate and private airplanes go for fueling. And then the FBO also fuels the airlines. So, and then they also manage hangar space. So they are the ones who, when the fuel truck comes up to the plane to fuel the plane, that's who is operating that truck. So we had a concession agreement with a company out of Texas, and they had been on the airport for a long time. When I first came to the airport, Crystal Aviation
Crystal
was the
Air.
FBO.
Yeah.
And so that was the Crystal family here in town. So they had the FBO, and they sold out to this company from Texas around 2000. And so we had been working with that company to make updates to their facilities because we understood that the FBO is the front door to the community for private business. And so we wanted them to have the best facilities in the community, in the country. We wanted nice facilities.
You wanted to wow them.
We want to wow them, exactly. And so we struggled with that company to get where we felt like they needed to be. And so we made the decision in 2008 that we were going to build our own FBO. And so we started putting together a business plan. We worked with a gentleman out of Charlotte, North Carolina, who I had been working with my entire career, who had been helping us with airport finances. And so I worked with him, and we developed a business plan for our own FBO. And we secured the funding, and we started building that FBO in 2010, I believe.
Did you build it with the former company in mind to run it, or just hopefully we'll be able to attract someone?
We were going to compete directly with that company because we told them what we wanted. We wanted great facilities. We wanted an outstanding customer experience, and we wanted competitive pricing because we felt like they were taking advantage of our local community and overcharging them for fuel. So that was our three points that we were going to base everything on with our FBO. Great facilities, great customer service, competitive pricing. So we opened our FBO in 2011, and we were competing directly against them. Very challenging time at the airport. They sued us. They sued us through the federal government, through the FAA. And it was a lengthy process that was very challenging. Every single day that I came to work was a challenge.
Well, and I would imagine as CFO, you were deeply involved in it. I mean, every day. That was probably your whole job.
It was my entire life for a couple of years. And so we ended up working with that company and coming up with a resolution where we would buy them out. And the airport would own the only FBO on the airport. And although it was the most difficult part of my entire career, it was the absolute best decision that the airport ever made.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so even today, we own the FBO. We contracted out to Wilson Air Center.
Okay.
They manage it for us, but the airport owns it. We own all the facilities. If we feel like their pricing is out of line, then we call them and they make adjustments. So we're very hands-on because we want that FBO to be the best in the country. And it actually has been rated the best small FBO in the country for 3 years.
That's a beautiful facility.
It is absolutely stunning.
And Wilson Air is out of Memphis, if I'm not mistaken?
Yes. The Kimmons Wilson family that started Holiday Inn.
Yep, you got it.
Yes.
I grew up in Memphis.
Exactly. So Bob Wilson is the son of Kimmons Wilson. And Bob he started the FBO branch of their businesses. They have lots of different businesses, but Bob started the FBO. And so they currently run the FBO at Memphis. They run ours in Chattanooga, and then they have one in Houston.
I'll tell you my favorite Kimmons Wilson quote.
Yes.
You can be a success by working half days. You just got to decide if it's the first 12 or the second 12.
That's a great quote. That's a great quote. And I think that family did exactly that.
Absolutely. So those changes are coming. You're still CFO.
Yes.
The parking had always been an issue.
Yes.
You had the parking garage.
Yes.
Take me through becoming the president and CEO. How does that come about?
So when my predecessor, Terry Hart, when he started considering retiring, I worked very closely with Terry. And so we had worked
Terry's
together.
A great guy.
He is. And we had worked together He had been the president since 2012. And so we had worked together all that time and worked very closely. And so he came to me one day and he said, I'm thinking about retiring in a few years, and you're the next one. You're the next person. And I said, no, I'm not.
Yeah. How does that feel internally? You're obviously flattered, but you're also probably a bit intimidated.
Oh, absolutely. So I am, people may not believe this, but I'm very shy. I am very much behind the scenes. I do not like the spotlight. I like to, for 25 years, I had sat at my desk and just solved problems. And then I would give the answers to my bosses and then let them run with it. And so the thought of being out in the front and public speaking absolutely terrified me. And so I told him, we talked about it for probably 2 years. And I said, there is no way I can do this. That is not who I am. I love this airport and I want nothing more than it to be as successful as it can be, but that is not for me. And so we kept talking about it. And I thought at that, very close to the end of Terry's time, the mayor position switched. So Mayor Kelly came into the role, and I didn't know Mayor Kelly. And so I thought, I don't know if he is going to want me in that position. So I remember January of 2023, I had to go meet with Mayor Kelly and give him my vision for the airport. And so I sat down with him, and I was not in the role at that point in time. I just said, if I became the president of this organization, this would be the path that I would take. And, my biggest thing is involvement, building relationships, not only with the community, but with the airlines. I said, I want to bring the airlines here. I think it's critical that they see our community. If we can get them here, the city will sell itself. Mm-hmm. And so obviously that went well because he signed off and said he was okay with it. And so I was getting really close, and I just decided, you know what? I love this airport more than anybody else could. As much as anyone else could. And I want it to be successful. I feel like I know how to get us there. And if I don't do this, what am I telling my daughters?
That's a great point.
If I don't do this because it's uncomfortable, and I don't do this because it's hard, and I don't do this because I'm scared, then what am I telling them?
Yeah.
And so I decided at that moment that this is what I'm going to do. And so I jumped in, and I've taken it and feel like it's been a great ride so far.
What was more intimidating to you, taking that role as president and CEO of the airport after a lot of thought and preparation and coming to that conclusion, or playing the piano at 12 years old in front of not even your home church?
Definitely the airport. Yeah. Definitely.
Good answer.
And the thing is it's not that I was nervous about the job.
Yeah.
I was nervous about being out front.
Yeah.
I was nervous about speaking to people about it. And so I just made the decision that I'm going to speak with the passion that comes from my heart. And hopefully everyone will get the message that I'm trying to.
Well, I think people hear that passion, but from your standpoint, what's so important for other people to hear that lesson from you?
I think it's important for everyone to understand that life is hard. Mm-hmm. And I remember speaking to a group of young professionals, and that's one of the things that I told them. The things that are the most terrifying, the things that are the most difficult for you to do, those are the things that you need to be doing at a young age, so that when your time comes and you're asked to take the role, you're ready. And you don't even have to give it a second thought. Do the hard things when you're young, when you
can make mistakes,
and when you have you're not afraid of anything.
And, to tie that a little bit into community involvement when you're young, because so much of what gets decided in terms of leadership when you're in mid-career in your 40s is determined by what you did in your 20s and 30s.
Absolutely. Another point that I made to that young group is network.
Yeah.
It is so important. So for me in the CFO role, I met so many airport directors and finance professionals. And so I always had someone that I could call. When I had an airport issue that I was trying to work out for Chattanooga, I could call my friends at Asheville, or I could call my friends at Raleigh, or I could call, there's so many airport directors. I can call Mike Langeth today. He's in Raleigh. And I can call him and say, hey, Mike, I'm thinking about this, or we're doing this. What do you think? Or what are you doing? And so I had so many connections, but I didn't have anyone locally that I could call. And so get involved in anything that you can involve yourself in, because I didn't have those connections, but I was so blessed. As soon as I came into the president and CEO role, I was asked to join Rotary.
Mm-hmm.
The absolute best decision I could have ever made, because everyone was so welcoming and so willing to help me meet other people.
Mm-hmm.
And there have been so many, both men and women throughout the community, that reached out to me and said, hey, let's have coffee. I want to get to know you. I want you to know me. I want to help you meet other people. And I think that's what makes Chattanooga so special, is it's such a collaborative community.
Yeah.
And everyone is willing to help. And so I think as a young adult who is just starting their career, get out there and meet people, because there are people out there that really want to help you.
Yeah, and I love the way you put Chattanooga as a collaborative town. And what I found, and anyone that's listened to this podcast has heard me say this before, is Chattanooga will welcome you if you just come and with your sleeves rolled up and say, I'm willing to work.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think there are so many people in the community that are willing to do just that. They're willing to work hard to make our community better.
Well, and to your earlier point of not networking or knowing people, a lot of times if you don't have that network, it's harder to find those people.
Yes.
Because in your role as an accountant, you're sitting at a cubicle, you're doing your thing, you're not interacting with people. But that forced interaction, once you get into the CFO and president role, that collaboration is extremely important.
It is. It is.
I do have a couple more questions for you.
Yes.
What's next for the airport?
So I think the airport's just getting started. I'm so excited about where we're going. So we, you all know, we built a parking garage in 2020. We built a terminal expansion in 2021. We started the design in 2021. It just opened last year. We have added, since I've been in this role, we added 6 new nonstop destinations. One of those will not be serviced after October, but we feel very confident that we'll be able to get another carrier to come in.
Is that the carrier that just went bankrupt?
It is. Yeah. They pulled and took 3 destinations. When they leave in October, they will leave 3 destinations open. But immediately we had 2 of those destinations picked up.
Yeah, and I just want to point out that wasn't the airport's fault. No. That was the carrier's fault.
It really is. They made the decision. They left 10 cities in one day.
Wow.
And so, they were a great partner for us. They just had some financial difficulties. And so I wish them all the best. But we have to move forward. And so for us, our focus continues to be on air service development. We are out there meeting with the airlines. We have the airlines coming the first week of October, and we have 12 network planners that are coming to Chattanooga. And we have an entire itinerary set up for them to go see all these cool things that are happening. We're going to take them on a tour of the stadium. So we've been talking to them. We've had them here. This is the 3rd year. And the very first year we started talking about the stadium project, So this year, they're actually going to get boots on the ground to see where we are with the stadium. And I'm so excited about that because these network planners, they're young. So they are the ones that come here and they see all these amazing things that are happening in Chattanooga. And they get to take the message back to their bosses to say, this is why we need to be in Chattanooga. And so the first year we had maybe 5 people here. This year we have 12 coming.
Oh, that's great.
Yes. We have one airline that's sending 5 representatives. And so we're just so excited to share what's going on here. And so air service development is going to continue to be a key staple for us. We are going to continue to work on that because that's how we grow. And not only do we want more nonstop destinations, I would love to see more carriers in cities together. So American just announced they're going to start serving Chicago along with United. And so that's great for that Chicago market because it's going to provide competition. So that lowers fares. And so we not only want more destinations, we want to see more competition. And so that's something that we're working towards. Along with that, we always have to keep our facilities ahead. And so when we first started talking about this second parking garage, I felt confident that we were going to get it constructed before we ever needed it. That is not the case.
You need it now.
Last week, we had one day where we had less than 50 spaces available in our entire parking lots. And so I've put in a plan so that if we reach capacity, we have an alternative option. So we've always got plans in place. But yes, this new parking garage is going to be needed. So that construction will begin probably in November. It will be operational in January of 2027.
How many spots?
It's going to add 1,600 spaces.
That's huge.
Yes. So along with that, we're starting to look and see, okay, how quickly do we need to do our next terminal expansion?
Yeah.
So we're starting to have those conversations now.
Probably quicker than you think.
Yes, you're exactly right. But in the meantime, we're doing small things like, what do we need to be doing with our concessionaire? We've got some things up our sleeve that we're looking at from the concession standpoint. We have added global entry to the airport. So customs is they're now located in the building. So you don't have to go to Nashville or Atlanta to do your global entry interview. You can come to Chattanooga. So we've had tons of people coming from Atlanta and Knoxville to interview in Chattanooga to get their global entry with customs. And they're doing about 30 interviews a day.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
What can Chattanoogans do to support the airport?
Support the airport.
Exactly that.
Exactly. Support the airport. So, we like to tell the community every ticket is a vote. Every ticket that you purchase out of the Chattanooga airport, you're telling the airlines that you need more service from Chattanooga. If you buy your ticket out of Atlanta or Nashville, you're telling the airlines that those airports need more air service. And we all know that that's not the case.
That's a great point because I don't think anyone looks at it like that. Hey, if I buy a ticket out of Atlanta, that's going to tell the planners they need more flights in Atlanta.
Yes.
No, we need more flights in Chattanooga, so buy your ticket out of Chattanooga.
Absolutely. So I had a young gentleman that stopped me and he said, I heard you speak at an event a couple months ago. And he said, I had no idea that the decision that I make impacts our entire community.
Yeah.
And he said, now I know. He said, I just grew up. My parents always flew out of Atlanta. I thought that's what you had to do. And so he said, ever since I heard you speak, we never fly out of another airport other than Chattanooga because I want our airport to grow.
That's a victory.
It is.
It's a victory.
It is.
All right, before I get to my last question, April, I want to remind our listeners who makes all this possible, and it's thank you to the Tennessee Valley Authority for sponsoring My Morning Cup. Follow TVA on social media to learn more about its multifaceted mission of service, and visit TVA.com/do-good-here to explore exciting TVA career opportunities. All right, my standard last question, and it may not be fair to you since you were working really since you were 12, but what would you tell that 25-year-old self is important for a happy life?
I think because I have had a family. I married my husband in 1998, and we've been together and raised 2 children that are now 19 and 23. And I think balance is important.
Yeah.
Balance is critical. but I also think you have to work hard. And I do think that you can have it all. I think you can have a wonderful family and a great career, but it does take hard work to make that happen.
How do you know when it gets out of balance?
You definitely know.
Yeah. It tells you for itself.
It does. It does. Your relationships at work. If I'm away from the office, if I'm at airport events or at meetings downtown and not in the office a lot, I can tell.
Yeah.
My people need me
You need
to be
a presence.
there. They need to see me.
Same's true with your family.
And the same things with my family. So I think it's very evident when you're out of line in one area or another. And I think it's important. I'm very self-aware, and I know no one has to tell me if I'm out of balance in one area because I know it.
Yeah.
And so I'd make those adjustments. And, there's times, everything has ebbs and flows. And so there are times when family needs more time. There's times when work needs more time. There's times when volunteerism and different things that I participate in locally, that needs more time. So you just have to find a balance.
Well, that's great advice, and I really appreciate you coming in. I think we learned you're not nearly as shy as you claim to be. You're doing a great job. Thanks for taking time to do this.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for listening to My Morning Cup, a podcast by Costa Media Advisors. If you liked this episode, please share it with a friend. I release a new episode each week, so be sure to subscribe on Spotify, Apple, Google, or wherever you listen to podcasts.